Okay, let me show you something real quick. I always say I'm not going to do it, but I can't help it. I love sharing. Look at this big ass root right here. It looks like a big old carrot. Yummy. It looks like a carrot. It looks like a carrot. Thank you, tree. But I always say I'm not going to do these, but I want desire, especially for those, because I've known a lot of people. I've worked for and with a lot of people that can't get outside. I like taking you guys on my adventures with me, just to open up the possibility to believe the communication we have with trees, that we can connect in ways, well, I'm sure a lot of you probably know that watch me. I wasn't aware. The connection with trees, how healing it is. The divine has saved my life. So spirit and my ancestors saved my life. But when I say learning how to communicate with trees and spending time in nature has healed things in me that programs couldn't heal, that trauma type of therapy couldn't heal. I've learned how to heal myself. I won't go into detail. With the workings of the elements and Mother Nature. I wanted to share, I had this amazing conversation today when I was at the Open Shutter, and her and I were talking about the mental health system and addiction programs. And I had a conversation last night with Tanya about this too. But I was talking to Sarah at the Open Shutter, amazing, fucking awesome woman. And we were talking about how, and I could say this as a social worker for 30 years too, that we're really missing the mark here. It's like we're systemically, keeping people stuck. And I feel, as a social worker, it's my responsibility to open that. I've been on all sides of this. I've been the addict. I've received mental health services. And I've been a social worker. I had a huge spiritual awakening, and I have a lot of gifts, as we all do. And oftentimes, because of the systemic things in our society, especially in the United States, it's mainly here in the United States, it's not other countries, have automatically stigmatized people, with bipolar and depression and anxiety and all that, and never even have tapped in to what empathy is. And when people have gifts and abilities, that oftentimes the symptoms that they're feeling, their erratic behaviors and all that, is the people around them, energies around them. And so, and I think there's other videos about this, where it talks about, having the logical mind to know things, then also feeling it in your heart space. And when you are someone who, I think pretty much, besides sociopaths and psychopaths and narcissists and people like that, most of us are empaths. It's not like this gift. It's unfortunately being raised around a lot of trauma. And so there's a lot more information about it, but that's not what this video is about. Oftentimes, and I didn't realize this either. Like, I don't have any symptoms of bipolar depression, anxiety. I have no desire to use any substances because of unhealed trauma, or things like that. It's all those things. My spiritual walk is healed, and it took quite a few years for me to figure this out on my own, because there wasn't any information out there. There wasn't services in the mental health community or addiction community that addressed the spiritual aspect of stuff. I'm not talking about when you go to AA or NA where it talks about God and all that. I'm not talking about that, because that puts people off. And so, and it's not even about that. It's looking at a person as a whole individual. I never could understand. I would be happy, and then all of a sudden I'd go to the grocery store and I would just have this sadness come over me out of nowhere. I'm like, why am I so sad? Some systems say, oh, someone you saw at the store reminded you of your mother who abused you. That wasn't me, but I'm just using that as an example. No, I'm an empath, and I can feel people's energy, and I can see, and I'm a seer. So I could feel. I hope this is making sense. I'm trying to get all this camera shots in here as I talk, so me, I get a little bit sidetracked. And so I think it's really important for us to really start to look at people, the spiritual side, our soul and our spirit, not just our trauma, not just, emotional intelligence is important, but what about spiritual intelligence? What about our emotion and spiritually? Because there's a lot of that at play. A lot of people who have been told that they have these mental health conditions, or that gives them these diagnoses, and they're on all these medications that fucking make it worse or make them a zombie, which, like with bipolar, they say bipolar is one of the easiest mental health disorders to treat, but at the same time the hardest, because people stop taking their medications, you know, and there's something else there. We're missing something. And so I really encourage you just to kind of think about that. I'm not telling people to go off their medication. Okay? I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying, not just, I know for a fact that if we addressed this other parts of our beings and our souls, that we would drastically, I stand 10 toes down on this, we would drastically see a decrease in mental health diagnosis and addiction. I guarantee it. Now, I know that's why I had to go through my addiction and all that. I'm a spiritual being, and there's so many sides to that, of the reasoning for it. And it goes way beyond helping the next one. It's way beyond that. Because when I started my awakening, the addiction community, the recovery community, thought I was getting high again, and they all fucking turned their backs on me. Same with my fellow social workers. You know, when I was going through my spiritual awakening, I was all considered crazy. No one ever took the time to say, maybe there's something else going on that's not these things. But if you haven't experienced it, you wouldn't know. So I'm going to head out. There's my little PSA. Hope it made sense. Hope you're healthy and happy, full of joy. May you love and be loved. Heal, don't harm.